Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is releasing so soon after Pokemon Legends, and in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, it's kind of a tough shadow to follow. So let's discuss what might be carrying over from Pokemon Legends to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. To talk about what these things might be, I have brought everyone's favorite, Kayla from Kayla's Capsule, to join me in this discussion. Everyone say a warm welcome to Kayla.
Hello everybody, I'm Kayla from Kayla's Capsule. I make Pokemon YouTube videos with my trusty score bunny, Cinnamon! I'm also a huge dork, obviously.
Absolutely, but your hair is amazing.
I know, there's lots of colors. I did it myself. It was a little scary for a bit, but I think it's okay.
Admit it, was this for pride or was it just for personal pride?
No, I did it after Pride, surprisingly.
Oh wait, I was with you on Pride, I should know.
Yeah, I'm like, you know this.
I didn't know if it was maybe an after Pride celebration.
These aren't my colors.
I love them though, they look really good on you.
Yeah, they are beautiful colors, but they're not mine.
Absolutely. Now you get to really shine on camera for everyone, and we are talking about, as I mentioned, Pokemon Legends stuff that might carry over to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, I have a list of stuff for us to go over here, Kayla, and we're going to start by talking about traversal options. I want you to go ahead and tell me what you think is going to carry over.
So I do think that we are going to have Pokemon used as traversal options because that's been kind of a standard thing for quite a while now, especially since they've gotten rid of HMs. I do think that we're gonna use the legendary Pokemon actually as our traversal ride Pokemon. But I think that the way that we're going to have access to them might kind of be similar to Pokemon Legends Arceus, where at different points in the game we're able to kind of unlock different forms of these Pokemon and not have access to the combat forms until way later.
Interesting. I didn't think about it like that it would be our only traversal option and it kind of just unlocks different forms. That's interesting. It's kind of like the Rotom bike in a way, but mixing that with ride Pokemon, obviously. Obviously the futuristic one is like a motorcycle. And they're both like motorcycles actually, aren't they? Isn't there a big motorcycle wheel on the fighting one too?
Yeah, the fighting one looks like it's like this motorcycle, like a more like traditional motorcycle, and then the other one looks like it's like a hover motorcycle, which is very cool. Yes. Okay, yeah, you worded that very well. That makes it a lot easier to explain than what I had in mind. Yeah, that sounds really cool. I was thinking, I was hoping that we would have just more options of rideable Pokemon, but obviously, I don't know if that's going to be the case because we had, 5 or 6 rideable Pokemon in Pokemon Legends, and they were each different in their own way, obviously. I really loved all of them except for maybe the big bear, Ursaluna. Yeah, I was going to say, if they have to cut one, that's probably going to be it.
Yeah, but other than that, I was like, this is actually really great for, getting around, and I just was hoping that the next game would just add more options maybe to who we had as our ride Pokemon. Like maybe we could use, for instance in Legends we had Weirdeer. Maybe in the next game we could have Weirdeer and Rapidash or something like that.
Rapidash would be amazing.
That's everyone's dream ride. So
shiny Rapidash.
Yep. That would be so gorgeous. But these legendaries are really cool. And the more that you look at their designs, I think it's fairly obvious that they could be used for more than just going fast, right? So you could use them to climb or to hover, as you said, with the especially the futuristic one. Although I'm not sure how that would work out for the fighting one. Do you think it would sprout wings of sorts or what?
Well, it does have feathers. Yeah, and
you're right.
There is hints at them having 5 forms. We don't know what that's gonna mean. We don't know if those are evolutions or what, but there are hints at them having 5 forms. So
wasn't that from Riddler 2?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense, actually. That gives a lot of context to his rumor leak things that he's talked about. Okay, yeah, I think that is gonna be it then. For me, it's a bit disappointing. I wanted more ride Pokemon. Now we're actually going down to just one ride Pokemon and it changes forms. But at the same time, these new legendaries are so cool that it's kind of hard to be mad,
Yeah, they're some of the coolest legendaries we have had in a long time. So
I agree.
I'm very excited for that.
I agree. It doesn't help that our legendaries in the last game, being Sword and Shield, were kind of underwhelming. To me, they were just like dogs.
Design-wise, yes, for sure.
They were just dogs. One had a sword in its mouth.
Zacian was a monster competitively, though.
I'd believe it. I'd believe it.
It was just like banned everywhere.
I would believe it. But I mean, literally, it's just a dog with a sword in its mouth. And the other one's a dog with like a shield mane. I thought it was kind of funny, but yeah, and they kind of look similar. So like that's another thing was the Gen 8 legendaries looked very similar. Obviously not Eternatus. We're not counting Eternatus. I thought Eternatus was really cool, but these new legendaries are more akin to Eternatus, but they look very different in their own rights. Not only from Eternatus, but from each other, which is very important in my opinion for box legendaries.
I agree, because like, why get 2 copies of the same game if the legendaries are so similar?
Yeah.
You know?
Agreed.
Like, realistically, Sword is probably the way to go because Zacian is just so powerful and they look almost exactly the same. So
yeah. I mean, the reason I got Shield was because of Pokemon like Galarian Ponyta being like native to the game. I also played yes! And now you got the hair to match. You have the hair to match now.
Exactly! There was a rainbow unicorn that lights up. Like, could not resist that.
Kayla, you do know you are Galarian Ponyta, right?
Basically, yeah. I have had many people tell me I'm basically a Pokemon, so...
Especially with the new hair, I love it so much.
Yeah.
You gotta get a Galarian Ponyta plush. I think they had them at the Nintendo store at some point. Pretty sure I saw them.
Are they there like now?
Probably not now. No. Either that or I saw them on Pokemon Center. It was one of the two, but they looked really, really cute.
Yeah.
Anyways, so when it comes to traversal, obviously the ride Pokemon's a big thing. Other than that, you're going to be the player. You can walk and run, obviously. Do you think we're going to be able to swim again? And if so, do you think it's going to be maybe a little more than what we got last time? Where like maybe you have a stamina meter this time and it doesn't run out like immediately after you hit the water, which is kind of weird.
Well, I think one of the legendary forms is going to be for water traversal.
Obviously.
I think we're going to get, we're either going to get like some sort of like boat type thing for like Koraidon, and then Miraidon, I think we're going to get like a water like jet ski speeder kind of thing.
So I think I should reiterate. I meant more like the player character themselves. Do you think they'll be able to swim?
I think we'll be drowning again. I think we'll be full on like help, like drowning, just like in Pokemon Legends Arceus.
You don't think there's gonna be like a stamina meter or anything implemented?
I don't know. I feel like it's more likely that we're just gonna be drowning, which I'm okay with because of the meme. I could just see somebody like starting out the game, and you know how we see that cliff with like the waterfalls in the background? I could just see someone being like, I wonder what happens if I just jumping off that cliff into the water. Like, I wonder how many people are gonna do that like early on in the game, because I could see there's a fence like right near the player character's house. Like, no, don't jump off here. We're not ready for that yet.
Do you think we're gonna have a jump button? Because if you think about it, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but I don't think there's going to be action commands in the game. So like maybe there's just a jump button specifically, because it would make it kind of awkward to like go up and down slopes without any sort of jump or dash or something that
I do wish we had more, like, even if, especially when there's like little ledges where it's like, oh, like you should be able to climb up that
as
like,
a human. Yeah.
Right. Like most humans in reality could do that, and like Pokemon humans tend to be like a little bit super powered, you know, they could take a lot more wear and tear than regular humans. So I'm like,
yeah, I mean, in Legends, like your trainer could tank entire Pokemon attacks, yet they couldn't climb a little slope very easily.
I mean, in Auras, we went to space on the back of Rayquaza and somehow held on. So I think we can climb up a cliff.
You can't climb up a cliff in that game, though. So
no, we can't.
All right, so kind of on the same topic. When it comes to environmental puzzles, kind of like HMs, or maybe like in Pokemon Legends, how you could break things by throwing your Pokemon out. Like there were some walls that you had to break down, or even just, you know, like things to get for resources and all that. Do you think that there's going to be something like that in this game?
I hope so. That was really fun.
I agree.
You know?
I was kind of hoping that like they took it to the next level in the next game, which would be Scarlet and Violet, right? So like make it even more like HMs, where you just throw your Pokemon out and have them do something there, and if they're a specific kind of Pokemon, then they can do it for you. like different kinds of environmental puzzles. Like in Legends, everyone could break like those rock walls down, you know, but maybe in this game, not everyone can. Maybe some can only do stuff with like wood, some with rock, some with whatever other obstacle comes in the way, metal, something.
Yeah, I mean, that would be really cool to make it so that you'd want more of a variety of Pokemon on your team, you know, because you'd want Pokemon that would do different things without it taking up a move slot like HM's, because that was awful.
Do you think we'll be able to switch our Pokemon out on the fly again, like in Sword and Shield?
Yeah. I think we definitely will. I mean, we saw Pokeballs flying through the sky as part of the trading animation. If we can't trade with our own box that way,
True.
That'd be a little weird.
That's a good point. But then again, those Pokemon stops, they look very, like they're going to be very common. Like they're going to pop up quite frequently. Yeah. So in that case, I'm not so sure. They might keep that sort of survivalist aspect from Legends here. What do you think?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That I really did like the survival aspect of Legends, and I would like for them to incorporate that, but I have a feeling because it's a main series game, they're just going to be like, here's everything.
Yeah, it's you never know what they're going to do with these new generational releases. They start from scratch every time, which is both confusing and it makes you, it's always a toss-up of what's going to be brought in, not only as a returning feature but also a new feature or not, you know.
Yeah, we did see some oranges in a tree, so maybe we can hit them down.
They're in like,
maybe.
Yeah, you're right.
A couple trees.
I hope so. Again, I really hope that we can do that. So when it comes to things like the oranges and stuff that exists in the trees, do you think crafting is going to be returning, and if so, to what extent?
I hope it does. I loved the crafting mechanic.
Me too.
I thought it was so nice to have the option to be able to either go around gathering resources or spend money on those things. Because, like, you know, as players, we want to be able to do different things so that, like, we can figure out what we enjoy and have fun doing. Like, if it's earning money and buying stuff, fine. If it's, you know, going and actually looking for the materials, like, that's fine too. But, like, having those options is just a good thing. So if they get rid of that, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of an extra layer of freedom, and it's pretty realistic in the sense that, you know, you want to make do with what you have when you are doing a big journey or a big expedition, exploration, whatever you call it. And that's something that we're doing constantly in Pokemon. So anything that involves crafting things on the fly, I think would be really, really great. Although maybe we can only craft things at those Pokemon stops, and then like take those out and have to return to a Pokemon stop later to craft more. What do you think?
I don't know. We even got the crafting kit in Pokemon Legends Arceus. So maybe at first we can only do it there, and then eventually we'll get a kit, just like, you know.
Good point. Good point. Okay. So that's all possibilities. So, in a kind of different vein, what do you think about the catching mechanics from Legends? So in Legends, you could throw a Pokeball out at a Pokemon, and if they are distracted or whatever, then you can hit them with it and get them in there for a chance to keep it. What do you think that would be returning here, or do you think we're just going to go back to only being able to throw out Pokeballs in the fight?
So I think it should return. Do I think it will return? That's another question.
That's a no, then? You don't think it will?
I don't think entirely. I think we're going to be able to do a couple things. Like, I think we're going to be able to sneak around a little bit, because we saw the trainer sneaking up on Smolip. We saw the trainer immediately get a critical capture after sneaking up. So maybe there's like benefits to sneaking or something like that, so that it doesn't feel just like, oh, I'm doing this for reasons, you know, like it actually feels like impactful. But I don't think we're just going to be able to throw out Pokeballs, which, like, at things that we see, which kind of sucks because it's open world, and that would be really fun.
I agree. So obviously sneaking is coming back. So you're saying that, I mean, the way that the directing and editing for the trailer presented it made it seem like you walk up and touch the Pokemon to start an encounter, like you did on Sword and Shield, right? There's no denying that the editing and directing for the trailer made it seem like that's what we're gonna do. However, it's also contradicting a few other shots in there where, like, the trainer had, like, ran up to some Pokemon like basically touching them as he ran past them in some of the shots and didn't engage a Pokemon counter. Yeah, that could just be because it's developer build, but it could also just mean that like maybe they were just misleading us on purpose to make us think that. Because remember, they did that with Sword and Shield. They misled us to think it was only going to be random encounters. Right. And then the trailer after showed that there's going to be Pokemon in the overworld. So maybe they're doing something like that here. Maybe they're also taking a feel for what people might want, and they have both at the ready or something. It might not be that hard to switch back and forth between the code for that. Oh, actually, maybe it will. The more I think about it. I don't know.
It does seem like wild Pokemon have different personalities. So at least like that is going to be incorporated, but that was kind of already in Sword and Shield too. So
yes, a little bit to an extent.
Yeah. It seems like it's more in this.
I hope so. Good. Yeah, I hope the more uniqueness and variation each Pokemon, the better, obviously. Yeah, and I think we saw that a lot with Legends. Yes. That
Venonat, it was like, oh boy, it's running.
It's running. That thing was hopping.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, it seems like we're going to be catching them. And in that case, you're saying that if you sneak up and touch them from behind, maybe you get some sort of advantage when you go into the battle of sorts, maybe an extra turn or something. Mm-hmm. That's what you meant?
Yeah, it looks like we might be able to get critical captures more easily there. So, like, instead of having to do a full battle, we might be able to just throw a ball when it's at full HP and have it critical capture.
Is that what we saw in the trailer? Was that a critical capture? I didn't think about it when I saw it, but now that you mention it, I think I remember seeing that.
It only shook once, so that was a critical capture.
Wow.
And we saw them sneak up. So it seems like, at least then it'll reward us for doing things like that, because we won't have to sit through a huge battle if we just want to catch a small live. You know? Like, we just sneak up, and then your first ball is more likely to be critical capture. Like, that could work.
Nice eye. It's one of those things that I looked at, but didn't realize what I was looking at. So nice catch that you got there. I never even covered that in my videos.
I see what you did there.
It was totally on purpose. All right, so, I mean, obviously both of us are hoping that we can catch them in the overworld, but even if not, I mean, that's still a step up from Sword and Shield, being able to at least sneak up on them or have different ways that encounters start. I'm assuming there's going to be some aggressive Pokemon. Maybe they get an extra turn on you, or have more likelihood to get crits on you or something if they chase you down and touch you. Or maybe it's all in the overworld, like maybe you have to throw your Pokemon out or throw Pokeballs out in the overworld too to do stuff. Maybe just don't have a dodge roll this time or something. There's no like action stuff. Maybe there's no like bombs to throw at them. That might be all that they took out from Legends. But we'll see. More likely than not, though, all that's gone. Like even the overworld catching.
My heart. I love how the Pokemon could attack us.
Me too. It was perfect, because I mean, like, it makes sense for the world of Pokemon, for the Pokemon to attack a trainer physically, and the trainer to have a health bar too, even if it's in modern day. But
yeah, that felt so exciting.
I agree. I wanted to see it translate over into like a mainline modern day Pokemon environment, but we might not be getting that. Now, on that topic, do you think there's going to be whether we have those or not, do you think there's going to be action movements in the game, like maybe like a jump button like we talked about earlier, or a what's that? The dash, not a dash, the dodge roll or something like that. Yeah.
I think we'll get something, because it looks like we already have sneaking. It looks like we have waving.
Oh yes, there's emoting.
Yeah, there's some sort of emotes that we're able to do. So if we're able to do those things, I would think that we'd be able to do some other things too. But like, if we have a dodge mechanic but nothing to dodge, that seems a little strange.
Yeah, that would imply that we had all that other stuff from Legends, right? If we had that. Yeah.
So I think we might have some things that we can do as a trainer, but they'll be dependent on other stuff.
So I was hoping... So I'm hoping for a jump button at the very least. I think that'd be really fun. And on top of that, maybe if our trainer can swim for a little bit, even with the stamina meter, maybe have like a dash action in the water too. That would be nice. Maybe there's a like fast run button. Maybe either tied to a stamina meter like in Legends, or maybe just you don't have to worry about a stamina meter in this one because they're not going for that like survivalist feel of a game. Yeah, what do you think about all that?
I mean, the more that we can do as trainers, the better.
But do you think it's likely?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like us being able to swim is probably unlikely because in Legends Arceus, as soon as we touched water, it was like, help, I'm dead.
Yep.
Like there was no, even if you were right on the shore, there was no like, oh, I'm gonna not die, please, thank you. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that. Jumping would also be really cool. Don't know yet. Like,
I feel like jumping is basic enough to where they could implement it.
It is.
But you never know. Maybe it's something we could only do when we get our ride Pokemon or something.
It would be cool to be able to jump to get away. Like if a Pokemon is chasing you down, to be able to like jump on a ledge that they can't get over or something like that, and then get away from them.
That would be nice. Yep.
That would be fun.
It also just makes more sense, having slopes that and like drop-offs that you can fall off of. It would be kind of odd unless they do it like Legend of Zelda style, where when you touch the edge, your player automatically does a jump that's kind of like tied to the ledge, But in an open world, that also doesn't make much sense. Like even in Breath of the Wild, they changed that up because they knew it wouldn't make sense in an open world, right? Because the environments are typically less manicured and more like a natural environment. So I'm hoping that maybe at the very least we'll have a jump button. But I sound like I'm kind of lingering on that, so I'm gonna go ahead and
you really want to be able to jump.
I just feel like it makes sense for the world and environment, but
yeah,
even if we don't have like action in it, I think a jump button is just like basic enough for this kind of game. Now, on top of being able to like throw our balls out, so we discussed whether or not that's possible. Legends had a mechanic where you could just throw your own Pokemon like out onto the field at any moment, and if you were near a Pokemon, it engages a fight. If you're not near a Pokemon, the Pokemon stays out there. Now we know that follow Pokemon are in this game. We don't know exactly how it's gonna work, but I mean I made a video that was discussing like all the hints that we had towards that yesterday, but at the same time, there's no solid evidence that we can throw our Pokemon out and take them back in at any time, just like on a whim, any given notice, I'm hoping that is the case, that we get to do that. But what do you think? Do you think we're going to be able to do that?
So my thought about it is that in multiplayer, I think it's pretty unlikely that we're going to be able to throw out a bunch of Pokemon, because imagine everybody throws out their team of 6. That's 24 Pokemon that they have to contend with in terms of like interactions and things like that, and I think it would just be too much. You know what I mean? Like,
so you think it's set to like a menu instead to have one Pokemon out at a time?
I think for multiplayer, it's gonna be like, hey, focus on your friends, they're here. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna have one of those like Oak saying, this is not the time to do that, I think in single player, I think it's more likely that we might be able to throw out like a full team, because I think that'll be less crazy.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that.
Funny. Yeah, right? Like, I think it would be really funny if we could do it in multiplayer and we just have 24 Pokemon just out there, like, party!
Plus all the wild Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly. That would just be crazy. But, yeah, in single player, I don't see why they would take that out. It was really fun. And it wasn't something too insane.
But they also might just want it all to be cohesive, so they might just have like, whether you're in multiplayer or not, you can only take out one Pokemon. And then in that regard, I think it is more likely that it's within a menu that you choose, like, this Pokemon will follow you, rather than being able to just throw them out on the field. And then, like, it could be, if you want to switch from one Pokemon to another, you throw the other Pokemon out and the other one retracts while you throw the other one out, if you can only have one at a time. But at the same time, I don't think that's how it's going to work. I think it's going to be in a menu.
Yeah, that makes sense, but I do hope that we can have more than one out at a time.
Of course.
The way they interacted was so cute.
I know. Especially if there's a come here command like I wanted in Legends. Like, it would still be okay to have 6 Pokemon out at once and then say come here and they all run towards you. In my opinion, I think that would be fine.
Even if it's just like we can toss a bunch out, but only one is set to follow us. So if we move too far away, they go back in their balls or something like that.
Yeah,
you know,
even just one. Yeah, you're right. So speaking of that kind of interaction, do you think that there's going to be interactions between the Pokemon we send out and trainers again? Like whether it's with NPCs or whether it's the environment, kind of like in Let's Go, or with yourself? Do you think we're going to be able to talk to them, pet them? What do you think it's going to happen here?
I don't know. I know trainers are going to be able to do some sort of emotes, right? Because we see the trainers wait. But in that same like scene when they're all around, the Pokemon are not interacting with anything.
Yeah, they're kind of just staring out in space, right?
Yeah, in like lots of different directions. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, shouldn't they be doing something?
Yeah,
so I don't know
like
if
props.
Yeah, so I'm like, I don't know if that's just like an early thing, and or they just like did like a quick like, here we go. But like, I don't know. I would hope that they would interact with each other if they're nearby. It'd be really weird if they're just like, especially because we know based on Pokédex entries that some Pokemon don't get along. So if they're standing next to each other and they're like, this is fine, like that's gonna be a little strange.
So at the very least, I would hope that when you tell your player to emote, your Pokemon does something too. At least like one of like 4 or so animations. That would be great. That would make it feel more lively, right? I think that at the very least, that's what they should do.
Yeah, and I'm also hoping that, so like in Animal Crossing, you can select which emotes you want on each of the keys. So I'm hoping that we actually have a lot of trainer emotes.
Me too.
And we're able to select which ones we want, because I want to be able to dance. Like imagine you have your friends over and your Pokemon and you're all just dancing, like having a dance party. That'd be so cool.
Of course. That sounds really fun. There is a little bit of proof towards some sort of expression from the Pokemon. In the trailer, we see Fuecoco before he follows you. He in the trailer, before he followed his trainer, he like looked surprised, did a jump, and then started running. Like, yeah, so like there's something there. We're not sure what it is, but we're hoping that it's something great at the very least, or like a nice baseline, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if they have like little personality touches like that, that would be great.
It would be, yeah. So that's a positive for you at the very least. That there might be something here to look forward to when it comes to that. Well, Kayla, it was super, super nice having you on as always. Why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on YouTube at Kayla's Capsule. That's Kayla with a C and Capsule with a C, so that you guys can find me. I'm also on Twitter with like the same name, so you guys can find me there as well.
Awesome. Yes, definitely go give Kayla a subscription and a follow, whatever it is, on all of her media, especially YouTube. And it'll be well worth your time because Kayla makes awesome content and has been really shining lately. You had a theory video about the actual ending to the newest trailer about like quantum space time crystals and all this. So that's what you're most known for right now. And you totally
I dissected the whole box art.
It was
so
awesome.
If you have questions about the box art.
And you kind of elaborated on that in follow-up videos too, which is really nice. So highly recommend you watch those videos from Kayla. In the meantime, go ahead and subscribe to all of us, being me and Kayla, and we will catch you guys.
Subscribe to Johnny. Make sure. Oh, sorry. Oh
no, go. Say your thing. Say your thing.
I was gonna say subscribe to Johnny as well because his videos are absolutely amazing. Like you pick up on details that like nobody else catches. So definitely have to subscribe to Johnny or you will miss things.
Yes, and Kayla catches all the hidden things with the lore. So if you want to keep up with that, definitely subscribe to her too. Wow, we're really just like selling each other right now. This is great.
Yeah.
Friendship. We will catch you guys in the next video that we do together and in our own videos. So I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful weekend, and peace out, everybody.
Hey. I made it go out really long just in case it's cut off.
Well, I mean, I'm leaving all this in. Like they're seeing you right now.
As usual. Yep.
As usual.
Yep.
But it's okay because they get to admire your hair for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Oh. It's
Close
so
up.
nice. I can't get over it. All right. Now later, guys.